Hello, courageous colleagues. I am so grateful for the opportunity to be with you and go over this amazing resources that allows you to access the resources that you need. I am going to give you just a little bit of time to think about this question, and I'll get right back with you. So for the purpose of this video, we are going to assume that we have some of you who could be at a 3, potentially at a 4, but that we might have somebody between a 0 and a 1. And so I think that's going to be the best thing that we can do for this recording. So I'm going to backtrack just a bit now that we've given you the opportunity to think about where you are. So again, as I mentioned, the title of this session is Accessing the Resources That You Need, Texas Gateway. And so what I want to be able to do is just kind of let you know a little bit about me. My name is Shelly Emiliano. I am a curriculum and instruction specialist, new title this year. I will tell you that this is going to be the 5th year outside of the classroom where I've had the opportunity to work with professional development and building curriculum for the district. Here's a little bit of showing you the places where I've been in the district. So I would say I'd have a little bit of experience, and a wonderful opportunity this year is that I'm going to be at 3 elementaries, 3 middle schools, and all of the high schools, facilitating the learning with those teachers. So when I am not doing everything education, I love to spend time with my family. This is hard for me to say. I am going to have a college freshman this upcoming school year. Emma will be attending Sam Houston State. Then we have our sweet Ellie, who will be a 4th grader at Reagan Magnet. And then my husband, who is very supportive in all of my endeavors. So just a little bit about me, try to build some confidence in this session so that you can work with me. We're not going to go over all of the reminders because I know that as a professional, you know to take care of yourself. You understand that you want to stay present to the work, and we want you to personalize this PD, make it your own. We ask that we know for sure that you will be able to take at least one thing from this session with you for your upcoming school year. As far as our agenda, of course, we're modifying that just a tad with the opportunity of this video. But the bulk of it is we want to get you into this resource. We want you to understand the what, the why. We want you to know a little bit about the how. We are going to show you some of the pre-work that we've already done, some activities that we've gathered together for your upcoming units 0 through 2. And of course, we'll you'll be able to do the participant exploration time on your own time. And then we have a small little reflection moment at the end of the session. So that tells you a little bit of where we are with regards to this professional development. We do not want to bypass the icebreaker, a little social emotional learning for you. And so this is just going to help you think about yourself and kind of help build yourself up, thinking about the most unique activity. Find something about you that you think no one else here has in common. Did you actually take an underwater basket weaving class in college, or were you on a synchronized swimming team in 7th grade? Whatever it is, it just has to be unique. So think about what you would present to the group if this was a live session. There you can find my little activity or my most unique thing. I would say that probably no one else in this session is a certified pharmacy technician. I have the training, I have the licensing, but I've only actually been in a pharmacy and in this role for about a month, a little while back, but I've kept updating my PD for that. So take a moment and think about what you would do, what you would say. What's your most unique thing? And feel free to send that to me via email. I'd love to hear from you. Love to work with our people in the school district, our colleagues. All right. So let's get into the meat of the PD. I always like to start, well, it's important to know the what. Why? What are we doing? What is this all about? How is this going to help me? I am so big on the why. I think it's important for us to reflect, whether it's our own growth, whether we're working with our students, what is the why behind this? And then we have a short little video that kind of puts everything in a nutshell. So Texas Gateway is a resource that is amazing because you find online resources that are provided by TEA. They are sequenced science lessons. They are engaging. They're Teaks aligned. This is going to be a place for you where you are going to have instant access to great resources for specific lessons. And you even have an opportunity to find some self-directed PD training where you can earn some CPE credits. Pretty neat, right? Why? Why do I want to use Texas Gateway if I am an educator in the classroom? You are going to find again that we mentioned because it's provided by TEA, these resources are Teaks aligned. You are going to find that they are rigorous. They are going to help you with your classroom instruction and your content knowledge as a teacher. I will give you an example of that here in just a minute. You are going to find activities for various learning styles for your students. They are ready to use and they are interactive, from videos to little interactive activities to little meat of a lesson, maybe some videos and some note taking for the students that may have missed a piece of your lecture. This is the place where you want to find all of these things. I mentioned, we talked about how it's for your classroom instruction, but even for your own content knowledge. I will give you an example. A couple of years back, being part of the science team for PD, when Ashley Osborne was our coordinator, she asked me to take the piece of chemistry. And so the upcoming unit was on solubility and gases and that kind of thing. I will tell you that I am a science person, but my strength is definitely life science, 7th grade in bio. So this was a little stretch for me. And I went to this Texas Gateway and found that those particular Teaks that were going to be my assignment for PD, and they helped me build my own knowledge as I prepared the PD for that particular moment. So for your students and for you is what you're going to find. So we are going to take a moment and show a quick video for you so that you can kind of get a little bit more grasp about why Texas Gateway is so key for you in the classroom.
I teach middle school science here in Texas. I used to spend a lot of time and energy looking for resources to complement my lessons and assignments. There are many options out there, and most of what I'd find is difficult to use or doesn't align to Texas standards or my instructional objectives. I wanted high-quality Teaks-aligned content that would help improve my lesson plans and activities. I also wanted to find ways to improve my teaching, but could never find the time to pursue my own professional learning. Then I discovered the Texas Gateway by TEA. The instructional resources in the Texas Gateway are rigorous, interactive, and ready to use in the classroom. Most importantly, they're aligned to the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, Teaks. The Gateway is simple to use. You can go to www.texasgateway.org and instantly browse and search for content. It's easy to find engaging, teacher-friendly resources, no matter what you're looking for. Quickly search for content by Teaks, keywords, or grade range or subject area. You can save and organize the content you discover in your dashboard. Create your own lists of resources to plan for instruction. Plus, you can use the Gateway to find and sign up for high-quality teacher training. Register for courses that you can take at your own pace and complete your PD requirements when and where it's most convenient for you. With the Gateway, I can get the resources I need for my classroom and my own professional learning anytime, anywhere. Visit the Texas Gateway today and start discovering great content for you and your classroom.
So you may have found some pieces that were repetitive, but we know as classroom teachers that repetition is key. So hopefully the more you see it and the more that you listen to some of these pieces, it's going to make it easier for you to navigate this resource. Let's talk about who and where. Because this was provided by TEA, you are going to find that practically any content can use this resource. Of course, this particular PD is geared towards science, so the examples that we've selected for you are science. But you should be able to, any content, any grade level should be able to use texasgateway.org. I will tell you that I use it for science, and so I did find a lot of resources in the various grade levels from elementary to secondary. I kind of looked into the English language arts and to the math, and you will also see several resources. When I went into the social studies piece, if you are high school social studies, I'm going to say that they're not quite there yet. I honestly didn't find anything in the world geo or world history or U.S. history or any of those, but I did find a few pieces in the middle school and in the elementary. So I would think that this is just a work in progress, and hopefully as time progresses, you are going to find more resources available to you. Same thing with the science, like environmental science and astronomy. You'll find the Teaks, but you're not going to find a lot of activities. And so again, your starting point, as the video mentioned, is going to be www.texasgateway.org. So we want to get into the how do I get there, or what do I do once I'm there? And you are going to find that you have access through the Google Slides that I've given you. You are going to have access to a quick start guide. So your quick start guide is going to be super helpful for you. You'll notice that it downloaded, and it's just going to be your reminder page on what to do. So for the purposes of the PD, again, I'm going to walk you through this information. And so once you're at texasgateway.org, you are going to come to this login page. And of course, if this is your first time that you are using Texas Gateway, you are going to want to sign up. Otherwise, you log in. And this is a free account that you can create. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. So thank you for working with me here. Uh-oh. And as you can see, I may have typed the wrong information. There we go. And so then you should come to this page. And we want to come here, Texas Gateway for Online Resources by TEA. Looks like you could go straight to the PD through here, but I can also access it through this Texas Gateway. So I'm going to click here. And there are several resources that you can access without logging in, but then that there are some where you're going to want to log in. And you'll notice here, for some reason, it didn't catch my login, or I should be patient now that I'm thinking about it. It's still kind of rotating. There we are. And so this is where you're going. This is a good place for you to be able to start. And so now what I want to do is just kind of go through some of the key pieces that some of them you'll find in the quick start guide, and some of them are just things that I've kind of worked through as I've been able to use this resource. And as I mentioned, I've used this resource a lot for science, but you should be able to find resources if you are in other contents or for our elementary teachers who work with other contents or subjects as well. So we're going to come over here and online resources for your classroom. So you've got a little bit of information, and that's where you found your video. You could click search. And this is where, as they mentioned in the video, you could search by subject. You could search by grade range. You could search by content type. Now here in a little bit, when we get into a particular grade level or TEAK, we'll kind of go a little bit through some of these different pieces. So we're going to look at resource is what you find a lot of. And what I love about the resource is that you're going to see that so many of them are built using that 5E lesson model. So that's very, very helpful. You've got lesson studies, which are a little bit longer, a little bit more of an extension. You'll see activities with different days and different times. But again, you as a teacher in your classroom, you might find only a piece that you want to use rather than take the whole lesson study, which might take 5 days. I have found, this is new to me as I was doing the research for this particular PD in some of the upper grade levels and even some of the younger levels, you'll find binders, which again have different little pieces where it literally is a binder of resources. And sometimes a lot of those are videos and some guidance for some note taking, which might be great for those upper levels where students might have missed a particular piece. And I've played with this a little bit for this particular PD, but as an educator, as I'm building resources for specific grade levels for science, I will tell you that my favorite way to go in there, I haven't really used this when I'm doing some of that work, I'm going to go straight into the Teaks. Why? Because I know what I'm looking for. I know, is there a resource for this particular unit that I'm working with? So of course, you're going to want to go in and find your content, science. You're going to look for your grade level, and there you can see elementary, middle school, high school. And again, as I mentioned for high school, we're going to find some resources for IPC, biophysics, and chemistry. I didn't see anything in the astronomy or the environmental sciences. And for this training, we're going to get into 7th grade, which would be the one that I am the most comfortable with. And so there you can see all of the Teaks are there. You aren't going to find an activity for every single Teak. And if there is a resource. It's going to be right under that Teaks. So there you can see that you find some activities for the processing skills. And you can see some lesson studies. And as I mentioned with the lesson study, we'll look at one here in just a little bit. Those lesson studies are a little bit longer, take days, but you may find a piece that you want to use. So I'm going to come down to succession for just to kind of show you some of the various resources. So here's one that we found. Observe, record, and describe the role of ecological succession, such as in a microhabitat of a garden with weeds. So this is a specific take for 7th grade. You'll notice that you do have a lesson study and you have 2 resources. So let's look at the lesson study for just a moment. Stages of ecological succession. So we're going to click on that. And there you can see that the lesson study is a little bit longer. You've got an overview, you've got your materials, your timeline. You may find some rubrics, some background, some research. So these lesson studies are a little bit longer, but look at all your materials are right there in one spot. There's your timeline. And again, what I found as I'm looking through these, maybe there's a particular daily lesson that you find that you want to incorporate. So you do have a lot of guidance with that lesson study. I will tell you that what I use more often than the lesson study for some of the materials that we're building for, well, now it's Schoology, used to be Google Classroom, I would come to the resources. And so we kind of want to show you, here's an ecological succession one. There you can see the engage, explain, elaborate. We're missing the explore in this particular lesson, but a lot of them are built in that 5E model. And then here is the evaluate. But notice that you see the content, there's your engage, there's your explain, here's an embedded video for your students. Notice there's a notes handout that's available to you, more content. Here's an example of an interactive activity that you can assign to your students. There's your elaborate, more information. Sometimes it's journals. Look at this awesome little Venn diagram that the students will interact with. You've got your teacher notes. And here towards the bottom, sometimes you want to go here and you'll find some of those pieces that have been separated for you to use. Some videos, some documents that you can use to embed into your Schoology. So that would be an example of that. I did want to go back and look at physics, which is where I remember finding some of those new pieces that I had been, as I was investigating for this PD. So again, there you find some of the different pieces. Here's some resources. So this particular one isn't built after that 5E, but it still has different sections, interactives, nice little content, check for understanding. So I would think that the way that I'm looking at this is these are sometimes can be, you could work with your students with guided practice. You could have them do it as some independent practice, but it's going to be more of a self-paced and more of an activity where it's kind of more of a checkpoint that they have completed it. What I wanted to show you on the binders, here's the study edge. This particular binder had a few things. You'll find some binders have like 9 things. Oh, look, here's some more resources. Let's look at the nature of science. And the wonderful thing is that you're going to have some exploration time where you can look at some of the resources that we've already gathered for you for the first units. So there's your video, and then notice there you've got some like a study guide to help with note taking. So I think that would be great for once you find pieces, if you get into the other Teaks with the content, that you could use for your students that have been absent, for your students that need a little bit of remediation, that kind of thing. So my favorite way of researching or of finding resources would be the Teaks. That's what I'm going to want to use. Now, I will tell you that the dashboard is something that I found that I hadn't realized you were able to do, because like I mentioned, sometimes you can access these resources without signing in, some of them. But now that I know, you definitely want to sign in because you have access to a dashboard. The dashboard, look at that. It maintains your history of material, like your history of what you've been looking up on Texas Gateway. So there you can see some of those other ones that I had looked at previously. And then you can organize those resources that you found into folders. You can create your lists. You can build my favorites. That's pretty awesome, right? So if I go back to what I was looking at, we're going to go back to our 7th grade. We're going to come down and find us a resource. Let's say we really want to go into this food webs and food chains and energy pyramids. And I open that up. 5E model, engage, explore, explain, elaborate. This one's missing the evaluate piece, but there you can see the various examples, videos. You may or may not find some links down here, but look, let's say that I want to add this to a list. I've already created a list. You could make a new list. I'm just going to add this to my EdTech Summit. You could tag it as one of your favorites. So now if I go back to my dashboard, look at that. It placed that under my EdTech Summit list that I had already created. So I think that is an awesome organization tool embedded into this Texas Gateway Resources. So you definitely want to be able to log in and do that. So I think that is wonderful to help you save, to help you organize. It has that history because maybe you found something and you didn't put it in your list and you want to go back. You should be able to access it. It looks like it holds quite a bit on your history. Pretty awesome, right? So I know that you're anxious to get into that participant exploration time, but if you'll give me just a few more minutes, I want to show you some other things that you might find in this resource. And I want to show you some of the pieces that I've already put together for the various grade levels for your upcoming units, and then give you that exploration time. So that is that resource piece for your class. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Teaks guide. So I will tell you that this is in beta mode. And so what I have found is that it's there for English language arts, only for grades K through 8. It's a little glitchy with it being in beta mode, but this is going to be where your student expectations are explained. This is going to be really helpful for that teacher that is new to the content or for your new teacher. And so again, you've got your Teaks guide, your user guide. Let's get into a particular one. I won't spend a lot of time on this. So we'll choose a Teak. But notice that if you hover over some of these pieces of the SE, You have further explanation of the SE. You'll find vertical alignment information on that SE. You'll find some assessments, and you'll find some resources. So for those of you, for your friends that are English, that are perhaps new or kind of need a little bit more help with really getting into that Teaks and breaking it down, they might want to look into this Teaks guide, which is in beta mode. And so what I'm believing is that it's a work in progress and that they will be adding more content to that. But perhaps you can pass on that info to your English language art friends. All right. The other thing that I wanted to show you was the Pbs Resources. So this is more for my elementary colleagues. This is a partnership to integrate digital resources, videos, and interactives within your classroom. The focus is to help students with their literacy skills and child development milestones. So notice here it is. And sometimes when I was looking through the elementary Teaks, you're going to find those under the corresponding Teaks. So again, you could do a search this way, but you'll notice that it's got that little PBS sign. So that's going to be really helpful. I found a particular one that I saved to my dashboard. Let me show you that real quick, which I thought was a really neat activity. I believe it was for 3rd grade. And it just incorporates a little bit of exercise activity while you are reviewing with your students on solids, liquids, and gases. So this is one of those activities that came from that partnership with PBS. So super, super helpful for our elementary teachers. And then, of course, the Learning Hub. Oops. One moment. I got a little overexcited on my click. Here we go. So the Learning Hub, TEA Learn, is going to be where you find all of your resources for professional development, earning CPE credit. And you will notice that you'll find various free activities. I see some implementing the ELPS in Science and ELPS Academy, learning about dyslexia. So some self-directed PD safety training for elementary, for middle school, for high school. So that might be something that you want to look into as you are working with this resource. All right, so now one more thing that I want to show you before we give you your exploration time and your assignment. What I have done in the next couple of slides that you're going to find, and you should be able to access the Google Slides through this Teams channel, you will see that I have already gone in to the various grade levels. You've got your K through 5 and your 6th grade, through physics. And there you can see that I have found at least 2 lessons or activities or resources for upcoming units. Unit 0, science processes, scientific investigation, safety kind of thing, through Unit 2, maybe Unit 3, as you can see, that we have those direct links for you to be able to go in there straight to a resource that you can integrate into your lessons. So I went from the YAG based on those Teaks, found activities for you. So here is K through 5, and here is 6 through 8. So that might want to be a place where you start, or you might want to go through your Teaks and kind of do your own search and start saving things to your list or as your favorites. But I've done some of the legwork for you to help get you started. And so definitely we want you to take the time to look at these because they have been handpicked for these upcoming units for you. And I looked it over, and if I thought it was a good idea, I thought it would be great. We picked it. So I think that you're going to like it. Don't forget, once you've taken a little bit of time with that exploration, please do not hesitate to reach out if you have questions or you need some additional support. I've attached my cell phone. As I mentioned earlier, we have this as the new title, new position, we are now housed at New Tech. And so they're currently in the process of placing phone lines. So I've placed my cell phone and, of course, my email. I go by Shelly. You'll find it under AIDE, Emiliano, and it can be ECISD.school or Ector County ISD. But do not forget to access the Google Jamboard and reflect and share. So we want to hear back from you. We want to be able to get that constructive feedback. We want to create PD that is going to help you. And as a professional, that reflection piece is so key to help your growth. So don't forget to access the Google Jamboard and share with us what is one thing or activity that you're taking from this session. You're going to elaborate in a sentence or two. What activity will you use or modify for your own teaching in the classroom? So don't forget to place your own sticky. Don't forget to put your name on your sticky, just so that we can kind of have that information so we can see how we can better help everyone. And that will be extremely helpful and will be a piece of you being able to earn your credit. So I definitely want to thank you for taking the time to go with me through this resource, Texas Gateway. And I know for a fact that you have found an interesting thing to think about. And now, as you go into your exploration time, you are going to have some resources in your instructional toolbox. You're going to already have this resources. Texas Gateway is one of the first places where I want to find resources for my science classroom. And of course, share with your friends because, as we mentioned, it's not just for science. Please reach out if you have questions. We are hoping that you have a blessed day. Thank you for being with us.